Howdy, everybody. It is 8:01-ish. Clocks. Who trusts clocks? I have no idea what time means anymore. It's sometime near 8, and you are listening to KVRX HD3 Austin. But I know that could be confusing to you, but you know what it is. This is KOOP HD1 HD3 Hornsby. How you affectionately know us. And this is your friendly DJ Mark. Thank you, DJ Dale, for another amazing Roots Train show. That pretty much makes my entire week. All right. Some of y'all know what's really going on. We got a special guest tonight, and he is on his way here, so I'm going to play a couple things till he gets here. But you're here every week, same bat time, same bat channel. This is Ear Candy 2.0. Hey, everybody. This is DJ Mark, a.k.a. DJ Space Cadet, and I am very excited and honored to have a special guest here tonight, which is my friend and colleague in music, Mr. Dave Prewitt. You might know him as DaveTV or Raw Time Dave or CapZeyeZ Dave. There's all kinds of Daves you could know him as. But Dave, thank you for coming in.
It is my pleasure, Bobud Mark.
Can you hear yourself okay?
I think I'm pretty good, man. I appreciate you having me out to the beautiful KOOP Studios. First time in this room, kind of wild, man. I listen all the time, and looking at it, I'm impressed, man. I never knew it was so fancy.
Well, we're listener supported, and KOOP has had all kinds of trials and tribulations, but KOOP is like a cockroach. I mean, like, people keep trying to squash us, and we keep dodging and ducking, and then we're just going to take over the world eventually after the apocalypse.
I think I understand exactly what you mean. I think I've been there. Yes, sir.
Yes. So, but I can't tell you enough. I really appreciate you coming up to the studios and taking time out of your schedule because, one, I should say I've been wanting to speak with you for a while, just to get your take on music and music scene and also advice for young videographers and documentarians that are coming up, and so we'll get to all that. But let me first explain why I'm having you here is because Austin. I mean, well, one, I appreciate what you've been doing over the last 30 years documenting the music scene on Austin Public Access and on all your various media outlets and channels, number one. But two, Austin is losing you to Virginia.
Yes.
And I know you're excited about this. It's for
lovers. Virginia's for lovers,
Virginia's is for lovers. It's true. And that's, I'm fully behind losing you for love. I mean, if there was any reason, love is the one. But also, it makes me sad, and I just want to have some time to hear music that you love and hear some of your experiences shooting over these years on CapZeyeZ and DaveTV and Raw Time and all of your media that's on YouTube and that's been licensed to other folks and different stuff. I mean, Kevin Curtin wrote a really nice article about you in last week's Chronicle, and so that got into a little bit of your backstory. But I want the Ear Candy listeners to hear some of it too. So
that's awesome. I appreciate the opportunity, man.
Well, I appreciate you being here, and so I'll just stop jibber jabbering and first of all, let's just start off by listening to some of the music you brought in because I'm excited about that too. And so what do you have queued up for us first?
So something I wanted to kind of kick this off with is special, near and dear to my heart, because not only is Ed Hamell a dear friend of mine and passionate compadre of the arts. He was one of our success stories from the CapZeyeZ days. He pretty much was signed off of an appearance he did on CapZeyeZ.
That's right.
To Mercury Records. So
that's right. And that was that. So basically, Mercury A&R person saw CapZeyeZ and then was like, "Oh my gosh, I need to explore more." And then we got Hamell on trial record on Mercury. Yeah,
the story goes they were, came home after their diligent duties at South by and turned on the TV in the hotel room to wind down the night, and there Ed was telling his stories, and they said, "Who's this guy?"
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Well, that doesn't happen every day too. So that's kind of why you do it, right?
And we're talking about love, and with no connection to my dearly loved Levon in Norfolk, I wanted to start strong with a little ditty that is called something that we will just say refers to working ladies.
Yes.
I guess is fair.
Yes.
Right?
So that's a fair way to put it. It's a song title that refers to what has been said is the oldest profession and one of the oldest professions in the world. So use your imagination and know that this is Hamell on trial, former Austinite, and why don't you go ahead and cue that up and let's give it to the people.
Hamell loves you.
I love whores, drunks and thieves and whores, and what's more, the poor I find more trustworthy than lawyers, politicians, and media magicians. I love sluts, crazy drugged up sluts that stab your guts. I love the nuts, the whacked, the cracked, the once employed, now sacked. I love them, they're my brothers, they're my sisters, they're my mothers. I love the lost, repeating tragedy at any cost. Can't take no pause to deride them. Inside them there's feelings, they can't hide them, so they blow it, 'cause they show it, and they're gone before you know it. We're all chumps, beautiful chumps with righteous lumps and sacred bumps. We rise from our dumps, fate will tease us, horse will squeeze us, and I love them just like Jesus. I love poor.
Wish I was the only one. God damn. This is so hard. I didn't know what you
heaven some sweet day. I'm using my Bible for old man. The children of Israel used it too. They crossed the Red Sea of destruction, for God was there to see them through. There'll be no detours in heaven, no rough roads along the way. I'm using my Bible for old man. My last stop is heaven some sweet day. I'm using my Bible for old man. The 10 Commandments tell me what to do. The 12 disciples are my road signs, and Jesus will take me safely through. There'll be no detours in heaven, no rough roads along the way. I'm using my Bible for old man. My last stop is heaven some sweet day. My last stop is heaven some sweet day.
Hey everybody, you are listening to Ear Candy 2.0. This is DJ Marc, aka DJ Space Cadet, and our special guest here at the Co-op Studios, my friend and Austin music colleague, Mr. Dave Prewitt, aka DaveTV.
Hi.
Hey, what's up, Dave?
How about that Bad Liver's taking me back to 92 at the Saxon Pub, man? They would play to like 7 people, and then it blew up. Well, 91 was probably 7 people. By 92, there were 14 people. Mark Rubin, Danny Barnes, Ralph White. I love those cats to death. The Boleys was in there, and Emma's birthday. I love Emma. Happy birthday, girl. 21. I'm sure she was sober all night.
Happy birthday, Emma.
Oh, and Hamell. I love Ed Hamell kicking that off, man, strong with his song for his working lady friends.
Hi, Ed. I used to work with Ed's wife, partner, fiance at the American Statesman in another lifetime.
There you go. Ed was delivering pizzas,
many
I'm quite
years
sure.
ago. Ed was delivering pizza. Oh my goodness! Well, he's come a long way from there, and we missed you in Austin, and we're glad to have Ed back just a few months ago at the Electric Lounge reunion. So
absolutely, he pays us a visit as often as he can. He loves Austin, and Austin loves him, and I love Austin, and I'm sad to leave a whole lot of it, but it's been an inspirational journey, man, and I've met some amazing people and done some earth-shattering things I would have never thought I would have done based on everything I did here. So it's great, Mark.
Well, let's talk a little bit about that. I was sitting here marveling at. Well, I didn't mention this to you, but marveling at your radio dexterity and great voice, and I was immediately like, "This is not your first rodeo. You have experience." And you're like, "Oh yeah, I did KTSB pre KVRX," which I didn't know. So when you came to Austin, you started out, I guess, at UT and KTSB?
Well, that's funny. You would think based on that history, but the real secret is Ray Segern and Corey Mitchell did the metal show there, who were doing the right thing by going to college and needing to do this radio show for credits.
Yep.
But as passionate as they were about seeing local music, drinking beer on weekends, they wanted me to come in and do the show when they quote unquote couldn't make it, which became fairly often. And so I came in and made sure the show rolled on, my friend. And so, yeah, we had the turntables for the vinyl and the old board and mics, and I would come in and play mostly what they wanted and occasionally throw in a little poison.
I love it. I have a great affinity for LA glam and rock and in all things glitter, and so Poison marks several of those boxes. So
I'm going to blame Alice Cooper in my youth on all of that.
And so which makes me curious too. Shout out to Ray Dog, by the way, wherever you are. Speaking of Ray Dog, when you back to announce the songs there, the one you didn't mention, which is the ironic one, you brought those guys, the BBG band bobudgreene, which Dave actually getting this really meta and kind of turn it back on me, which is a band that I played in throughout the 90s and a little bit some reunions after the 90s, but so I got that, loved it. Thank you, Dave.
I would have kind of laid that on you. I know you got the story, man. There's nothing I could add to bobudgreene.
And I would, and it's funny because of course I would never play it myself, so that's too funny that you brought it in.
I figured it was my opportunity.
Yes, well, I appreciate it there, and I'm sure the guys do too. But hey guys, but back to you, Dave. So so tell me about how you did the Austin music scene. Is that what pulled you to Austin, or how did
it's one of those things where I grew up in the country. I moved to Texas as a young guy at 9 years old, coming from California where I'd been born, and my family comes to Texas. And I lived in the country, man. And if you're a kid growing up in the country, all you want to do is get out because you don't get it, especially in 1980. Whatever, fill in the blank at whatever period you want. Excuse me. And so I think about 85, 84, 85, somewhere in there, I learned about Austin, and I learned about 23rd and Guadalupe and hippies and these little really tiny cartoons on little tiny squares you would eat, and they were really funny. You would laugh for a long time.
Yes, they've seen these little cartoons on these little squares that people ate in Austin at the time. And so Austin. It's a cliche, but cliches sometimes come from truth. And Austin was, and it continues to be, but was a very special place where magical things happened, and so
they called it weird, and it used to be weird and not a slogan.
Yeah, truly. I mean, you didn't have to say it. It just was what it was. But and is what it is. It is what it is in between the condo towers. But so yeah, and so you get here, and you're from the small town, and then what kind of was the transition from going to see music to saying like, hey, I want to document this.
So it was, as a youth, I always listened to radio, and I would call the DJs and request my songs and wait on hold forever and then wait to hear the song. And I was always into that whole promotion, maybe would be a good way to categorize it, type thing. And so as I grew up, going to see bands was a natural next step for me. So I had done that. One of my first group of friends were in a southern rock band called Mud Pie. Love those guys, and we did nothing but drink and go to bars and watch them play. And I had the old suitcase VHS camera that my grandfather got me at A&B TV on Burnett Road, and I would go out and tape them, and we'd sit in the apartment and drink more beer and watch videos, which kind of became a conduit to the next step you're asking of, because they would play with other bands, and I'd get there in time or stay late and end up taping them and end up doing the party on the couch thing with more bands and other bands. And of course that just ballooned, and I would watch Access at the time, which had Hank Sinatra and Dean Langston and Sue Cole and all these Kevin Roberts early producers of video. And there would be bands on. And I was like, that's got to be something I can do. And so I did what it took to get there. And I got on, and it was a kind of a slow process and a little bit of a stop in between before I put step A with step B that became what we were. But that was the quick into it that got me into the music deal. And playing those clips on TV was the first step, taking that box of VHS tapes down to the studio. Didn't have a dolly, so I used a wheelchair they had at the studio, and we wheeled them in, man.
Wow. And so it sounds like that was a natural progression to wheeling in tapes to eventually kind of it's almost like the similar to what you're doing at KTSB, at the pre-KVRX, playing music that you love for folks, but in this instance, you're playing music that you love for folks, and then kind of announcing it just in front of the camera, or having artist interviews, or getting to talk about it in between some of the music that you're playing. So it sounds like a natural.
It was a bit of what I envisioned something I would want to see. I always wanted to do a show that I would stop and watch, you know. I also wanted to do a show that wasn't just my favorite bands, which meant that at the time and pretty consistently through the life of all of my programming, I've kind of aimed to include bands that I definitely was not a fan of. So that
I admire that.
Yeah, so that you could, at least if you want to talk about audience for your show, you've got the members of the band, and typically they have a mom, a dad, a brother, a sister, a boyfriend, a girlfriend. And so you're multiplying the amount of people that see your programming or hear your programming by including them. And so that was the early concept that just kind of rolled it into just crazy, crazy amounts of people watching and partaking and contributing. And that's what made it what it was and is, I guess.
And in the order, just so I make sure I have my history correctly, was it CapZeyeZ and then Raw Time and then DaveTV? Is that right? Yeah,
as far as the music content goes, that's exactly right, Mark. Okay. So, there were other projects in the middle because at the time I was doing television in the early 90s and mid 90s. The facility offered a lot more access due to being staffed overnight and things like that. So you could have 4-hour chunks of programming or 2 or 3 shows a week. As long as you showed up and paid the fees, you were there, And
wow.
So I did the Sale Hayton karaoke thing where people sang and called from the couch and sang over the phone on TV with us. Another program, we had several. The show with no name inspired me to do some things that I just like. I came in and took studio time, and I didn't have a name for the show till I went on the air,
Oh my gosh.
And so there's been a lot of ventures I did when it was that open. The regulations are one of the reasons I kind of streamlined what I did on TV in 2007. But as far as doing TV, as long as I had the access to do it and people were there to watch it, I wanted to continue doing that. And that's what became DaveTV, the most recent incarnation of the productions that we do.
I love it, and so that obviously those different programming incarnations kind of allowed you to do other things aside from music, which one of which became you being if I'm not mistaken, the last one of the last folks to shoot a Bill Hicks performance in Austin. Is that correct?
Well, exactly what happened there is he came down on CapZeyeZ. Bill was an old friend of mine through Kevin Booth.
And he's a musician as well, right?
Well, he is a musician. Yeah. And actually, if you look at his brother's YouTube channel, he has exposed tons of music that was never heard that Bill's done for fun and for kicks. So on YouTube, there's a bunch of stuff like in the last month that has never been heard by Bill Hicks of his music.
Huh, wow. Very cool.
But yeah, he was a friend that I would see at Access when we were editing. At the same time, we'd run into each other and talk. And I knew he did stand up, and I wasn't quite aware to what degree. And Kevin asked if I would mind having Bill on the show the weekend before his last appearance in Austin. I was like, of course Bill can come on. I mean, what does he want to promote the gig or what's up? And he was like, yeah, I want to promote the gig. So came down to the studio that night, and I'm like, cool, man, do what you want. You're on after this video. I was like, well, I thought we could sit down and talk. And I'm like, whoa, sure. What do you want to talk about? And literally, Bill was like, well, we could talk about my 13 Letterman appearances. And I was like, yeah, right, dude, sure. And he's like, no, really.
No, really.
And I was like, really? And it was like, told me about just getting kicked off for the story. And I was like, yeah, we could talk about that. I know you had that tank footage from the Crush deal. We're going to play that. What else you would? He's like, well, we could talk about my HBO special in Europe. I was like, yeah, whatever. He's like, yeah, no, really. And so that's how that went down. And if you watch the interview, about 45 minutes into the interview, we've talked about a lot of things. And I'm trying to wrap up. And Bill's like, I'd sure like to take those calls. I'm like,
oh, no.
I look, and there's a band that was supposed to be on standing in the wings. And they're like, go ahead. I'm like, all right, let's go take those calls. And then like 45 minutes later, we were done with the interview, So it was a very amazing night I'll never forget with a great friend.
That is amazing, absolutely amazing. And speaking of, and I imagine that you've become friends with some of the artists that you've met and the folks that you've encountered at the studios, and And yeah, so I'm curious. I know you've got some more music here of some of the, whether it's local or folks not based in here. But let's I'll play some announcements or news or whatever you know, the old cliche, pay the bills. But
and support Co-op, you guys. This is what it's all about, people. If you want to know, you think you don't have radio. People complain about radio in Austin. You're clearly not listening to 91.7. That's the bottom line.
Well, we're here. We're one of the few community radio stations in the United States. One of the only cooperatively run radio stations, and so we're here for you. And so I thank you, Dave, for that appreciation. And yeah, we do have Pledge Drive coming up in a couple weeks. So what better time to support Co-op than during Pledge Drive? And you can even call during this program and say, hey, you know, we like what's happening on Ear Candy. And you don't have to give $1 zillion. You could give $1, and just the thought and effort of giving $1 would go a long way. So yeah, there's that. But again, let me switch it back to you.
No worries. I just love this place, man. I'll help you pay the bills anytime I can.
It's a mutual love fest here, and so what you got next for us?
Well, this is something we're going to talk a little bit more about. I believe you wanted to discuss some of the things and highlights of why I do what I do and things
Absolutely.
like that. The growth of bands. So I start like. There have been bands tell the story that, like, I walked in, and this has happened more than once. A recent, one comes to mind. But I've walked into the gig. It was their first gig. I didn't know anything about them, and I had my camera, and we taped their band, and it was their first show, you know? And that's a statement to, like I said earlier, just going out and covering music. So growth of bands is something that inspires me.
Yep.
And I know this is silly because it's my son, right? But
not silly
of course,
at all.
I'm gonna love my son's band no matter what they do. My oldest boy is in a band. My youngest boy is a great drummer. I hope to hear in a band one day. But my oldest boy has a band called Burn Band, and I've seen from the days him and his brother played in the backyard, and it was when the police came. So what does that say?
That says they're doing something right.
Yeah. And then, the passion that he had putting together this punk rock thing and screaming from his soul the things he was going through growing up was brutal and amazing and very cathartic and everything. But as they grew, they've become a rock solid band, dude. Wow. And I mean, whether he was my kid or not, this band has got some licks now, and I'm very proud of them. And I've got a track from their baptismal I don't know if I can even say it on Co-op about baptismal regurgitation album. So
yeah, okay.
I think it's the only
works.
clean track on the album.
Okay, that works too.
So Burn Band, Ignoramus, and I appreciate you letting me play this here on the Old Ear Candy 2.0 show, Mark.
We love it. Let's give it to the people.
Rock and roll.
third day here. Can't sleep. Haven't slept in 2 days. My mother thinks I'm dead. The sorry hag never cared more in her life. There are creatures floating in this can of condensed orange juice. They look up at me with curious eyes that haunt. Did you come here for? I can't tell. There's only me and these creatures in this night. I let them feed on the dirt beneath my fingernails. It's good. I realize this is the first time I've been happy in a really long time. Save the moment. Crush the can beneath my heel. Cold rain seeps through my thin hoodie, and I turn to walk the same direction I came from.
Oh, I feel be swinging from a willow. What you have done. Now you're on the run. You brought a sweet plate to a pistol fight. I really don't fucking think it was a good idea, because the family is out tonight, and I'm certified with fortified invincible. You'll always get what you deserve, and you deserve to be swinging from a willow. It really doesn't matter what you earn. You'll pay the 5% of one way or another. I'm gonna ride until the morning comes, when you'll be swinging from a willow. I'm gonna ride until the morning comes, and you'll be swinging from a willow tree.
Hi, my name is Daniel Lawrence, and I serve on the board of directors for Co-op. I want to wish the staff and volunteers of Co-op a very happy 25th anniversary and say thank you to all the donors who make community radio in Austin possible.
Support comes from Real Ale Brewing's Sunday Fun Day, celebrating craft brew off-site on September 1st. Ribbon cutting at noon, music by Jesse Vane, and the Happy Hour Holiness Movement, and brunch available from Firehouse Fare. More info at realalebrewing.com.
Hey everybody, this is DJ Marc, aka DJ Space Cadet. You are listening to Ear Candy 2.0 on KOOP HD1 HD3 Hornsby. And, you know, we have to tell you also that you're listening to it on KVRX HD3 Austin. That's to make us all official-like. But now that we're official-like, thank you, Dave, for coming out and playing some of your favorite music. In fact, let me go back through and just let some folks know what they've heard. The last song was called Swinging from a Willow by Stupid Drama. Before that, we heard Strain by the Dead Coats off their album Nice, and then we started off this little block with Ignoramus by Burn Ban off their full-length Baptismal Regurgitation. So I know these three songs are kind of like basically family to you, and could you talk about even though one is actual family, and why I guess two are actual family. Actually, all three are family. Tell us about
Absolutely. And blood does not make family, as I know you know.
As I started speaking, in my head I was like, wait a minute.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome, brother. You know it.
It all started clicking.
Yes,
and so, so tell me why these are all family to you.
Absolutely. So we ended it there with that Swing from a Willow Tree from Stupid Drama, which he really never plays live, and it's a really sweet track. I love my brother Nathan, and I wish him nothing but peace and everything that he's dealing with in his life. His plate is full, and he still made time to do DaveTV, which has been a blessing and an honor for 30 years. I think that even in the last days of what we did was probably the biggest struggle for him to put his time into. So I am blessed to have someone like that in my life. And I hope that he uses his free time to further his passions, whatever they may be, man. So that's the family with Nathan, his beautiful lady.
Shout out to you, Nathan, and man, peace and blessings to all your family and everything that you are going through right now, brother.
Absolutely. And Deanna taking care of the doggies at home. What a fine lady and amazing couple they are. I'm lucky to have them in my life. And prior to that was, as you mentioned, the Dead Coats, which is Lauren, Joe, and Josh, and Faith these days. It's a great little band. Lauren is the offspring, the daughter of my love in Virginia, Levon's daughter.
Yes, absolutely.
So that makes me Daddy Dave, I understand.
Hey, I love some alliteration, so that's perfect.
Absolutely. And then we started Burn Band, there being my eldest son, Will, doing the vocals and guitar and aggression in that track.
Love it. It makes me so happy to see that punk rock and rock is still alive, and that young kids are still pursuing it and having messages and having lyrics that speak to power and speak to abuses, and it just makes me very happy. And so thank you for training up the next generation in your household.
He's carrying the torch. I'm super proud of that. And I would say that once my younger boy learns his outlet with those drums, which he's knocking out of the ballpark, y'all better look out, because I know he's got something to say, and it's yet to be heard, so I'm excited to hear it.
Well, he can always send it up here to KOOP, and he will have a forum, because that's what we do.
I love it, man. And so, as I mentioned, the passion in this stuff is kind of why I do what I do, to see some bands progress, whether it was my own son and his band, or whether it's any number of bands, including the Dead Coats, who actually, when I first saw them, they asked me what I thought, and I was honest.
You have to be. You have to be. That's the way folks get better.
And they did. And they took the advice to heart, and they really knocked exactly what I said out of the ballpark with what they're doing. So that was an honor to see that growth. Seeing parents come see their band, or even like the real connection that I appreciate is whether that parent watches the video from a band that we've shot or came to the studio to see the band perform. We were able to let parents of bands see and hear the bands in an environment that they would have never been exposed to, because they're not going to come to fill in the blank club on Red River at 1 a.m. to see them play, you know? So they could hear the lyrics. We did a nice mix. They could see the band in the studio if they chose to come see them. So the parents seeing their children play was an amazing connection for me as a dad in the latter days of doing Dave TV, that kept me passionate about doing it. I know we wanted to talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I did want to talk about, 30 years is a long time. And so you have to be doing it for a reason. You're not doing it to pay the bills or make money or whatever, all that kind of thing. Reasons why folks do stuff. I mean, it's obviously for the love of it. So yeah, I was quite curious, and also curious too about what you've witnessed over these 30 years of documenting nearly 10,000 bands.
Oh, more, I'm sure. I was being very, very, protective with those numbers, but yeah, man, easily that many. Easily
10,000. And let me repeat that. Malcolm Gladwell talks about 10,000 hours to becoming, not a genius is the wrong word, but to perfecting the art of something. Not 10,000 hours, 10,000 bands doing multiple hours of documenting. So
the setup, the teardown, the actual production, the editing, the post,
and it's truly amazing, and truly a document of the end of the millennia and the beginning of a new millennia of one of the most creative scenes and music scenes in the world, easily. So does the Austin History Center have some of your tapes or archives, or do you have all of it? Or
well, John Moore, a filmmaker who is currently working on an amazing movie covering the period I spent at Access, along with other amazing inspirational producers. When We Were Live is the movie he's working on, is the curator of my material. Okay. He has a lot of it, and some of it I have, a very small amount, and he is going to do things with the footage and allow folks, I guess, at his convenience to get to it. I'm not real sure what his intentions are, but I kind of left it to him.
Yep.
I do believe they will end up at that facility. I think as a fan of music, to stay positive, I would just say it would be different and challenging for me to see something in the History Center.
Sure.
So my YouTube channel has as much as I could digitize and get up, and John's going to get me some more digitized stuff that as soon as I have, we'll share with the public so that it can be seen, as far as I know, on the widest format free platform being YouTube. So, the folks that have subscribed to the channel gets the immediate updates. I've got thousands of clips and intend to put thousands more up, whether it's the archives or whether it's new material I'll work on in Virginia.
Wow. And so that's great to know that you're continuing your work of documenting music scenes in Virginia. I imagine that some Austin bands will even come through Virginia on tour.
I already know of one in November, Hans Gruber and the Diehards at the Tap
gosh.
House. They're already scheduled. Yes,
I love it. So that'll be full circle. And yeah, so it's great to know that that's continuing. And can you tell me a little bit about, there's so many questions I want to ask you in such a short amount of time, but can you tell me a little about some of your favorites? What has stuck out? I mean, I find it interesting that, people get pigeonholed, like people think of you as like, oh, Dave, I remember Dave from the back room and he's a metal guy. But you listen to all kinds of stuff, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll fast forward through a bunch of stuff in light of time that are like highlights to me.
Yeah.
Watching Billy Joe from Green Day skate around the back while I was hanging out with Blink-182 and those kids, kicking Blur off the show because they were the most boring interview I ever had in 1992.
So they came down to the studios?
They did.
Yep.
And they left pretty quickly thereafter in their big old bus. Sammy Hagar, Ted Nugent, Debbie Gibson, those are some of my big favorites off the top of my head as far as achievements in what I did. The local people that I was able to share my time with, Pariah rises to the top. Yep. Amazing times that we had there. I think today's music is what inspires me the most, though. Lots of great local bands in this town, and they put their heart and soul into it. I would love to see the kinship between bands expand in this town and blow this scene up. It is well worthy.
It is. It absolutely is. And, we've got a couple more tracks to play for folks, and I definitely want to get to those. But I'm also curious, is the young kids out there who have this technology that we never had when we were younger, and not to be the old man shaking my fist at the cloud, but they do. So they can do anything essentially as far as media goes, and do it instantly and quick. But they absolutely. Getting it out to people and having it seen by people is a whole nother story. I mean, because now that, it's so easy to have music distributed, it's like there's just so much more of it, and it's harder to make a dent through all of the noise of music out there. It really is. And so I'm just curious, as a documentarian, as a videographer, if you could go back and speak to yourself just starting out, what are some of the lessons that you've learned, or some of the things that you wish you knew when you were starting out in your journey? It's
a great question. I could probably think about it and come up with some more useful stuff, but the thing that I'm taking to heart immediately when I go to doing productions in Virginia is to categorize, tag, and catalog my videos a lot better on YouTube than I have right now.
Yeah. Okay. So is there a way with music where you can do metadata into the music file? Can you do that with video?
You can in YouTube's settings. Okay. So I've learned a lot about that since I just started throwing thousands of clips into my YouTube.
Love it.
So yeah. But yes, it's inspirational. I did want to put a word out there for Izzy Cox's family and friends. Yes. Her birthday just passed. We miss her dearly. And my buddy Omar is working on a great film of her life, and I'm hoping to see that one day. I know he's trying to get a lot of help to make that happen. Gabriel and Ash were just in town promoting that at the Carousel. And if you were a fan, friend, or just even came across Izzy Cox after she passed and you love what you hear, I would say that do what's right. Support what's in your heart. I know we got to be careful about what we say on Co-op, but Izzy Cox is a legend, period.
She really is. I have gone back and watched video online, and my goodness, I mean, she is a fire starter. I mean, there's no other way to put it. Maybe we can play something.
I've got one
hers.
here.
What is
Death's knocking at my door.
What a segue! And shout out to Izzy's family and all the artists and music people that we love and that we lose in the circle of life. So, including, I had just learned before we went on the air that the president of the director of the Texas Grammy chapter, Teresa Jenkins, she passed away today. So,
oh my gosh, man.
So yeah, we it's just one of those things. But
it's sad, man. Our passion is all we have, man. So we got to use the time we have on this earth to do what we can with it and be remembered by the good we do, you guys.
Man, and on that note, let's listen to Izzy.
Izzy Cox, man. Thank you so much, Mark.
Try to say you'll be persuasive and
of a city to salvage the past. Social divide between us and then sparks are past. The weight of a wallet, what's that blind? Nothing means anything when we're cheap and we're taking the feeling. What's the computer screen of life? I pay your time, flying solar corporate team is targeting your life and pick the figures in the mold. Starting your consumption to construct a perfect mold. Playing catch up, I can keep up, you can keep it if you cannot see the change. Let's keep up this and there. Meanwhile, technology's worth on way too trade. Cost us so much more than dollars, and in the end, we'll not take minds. Nothing means anything when we keep in our genuine feelings. With the computer screen, I can pay your time. Sell your soul to corporate demons, marketing your life to pick up figures in the bowl. Starting your consumption to construct a perfect mold. For the king. I should say your talent. Sell your soul with corporate genius marketing your life to fit the figures in the mold. Starting your consumption to construct the perfect mold.
How the dice roll.
Meals on Wheels and More is a nonprofit that seeks to nourish and enrich the lives of the homebound and other people in need through programs that promote dignity and independent living. Meals on Wheels and More is currently seeking volunteers to fill open meal delivery routes. More information at mealsonwheelsandmore.org.
Come celebrate the darker side of music every Saturday from 6 to 7 p.m. on Co-op with Darkest Before Dawn. Join me, DJ V.
And me, DJ Ashura Sunil, for goth, industrial, and other related genres.
Don't be afraid of the dark. Embrace it with Darkest Before Dawn.
Saturdays at 6, only on Co-op.
Hey everybody, this is DJ Marc, aka DJ Space Cadet. You are listening to Ear Candy 2.0 on KOOP HD1 HD3 Austin. We are winding down a show here that with our special guest DaveTV, aka Dave Prewitt, and the last couple songs we have played the last one was Churchwood. Some of y'all will recognize Churchwood from right here in Austin. Their song Metonia. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. Metanoia. Yeah, there you go. And you see,
old Hand of Glory pals. I love those guys.
I remember Hand of Glory very, very well back in the late 80s of Austin's music scene.
From Ballad Shambles into Hand of Glory, I'm old.
I'm feeling old for knowing all those bands. Before that, we heard 1984 by Daze and Daze from the Houston band, Daze and Daze, which was a nice little... different than some of their other stuff that I'd heard or I was expecting.
They've become family with the Dave Fest. They've been closing us out, man. So I hope they'll do that on the 5th one, which is in January.
Oh, tell me about that.
Dave Fest 5, man. It'll be the last one. Kick Butt Cafe. We do a 2-day thing for the last 4 years, and this 5th year is going to be a 3-day because we're doing a special thing on the 3rd day. Where bands of getting together and doing cover songs, and they're not even bands; they're just drawn from a bucket list, and they're going to be created for this event only. So I could go on forever about that, but I'll keep it brief because I do want to play Scorpio Rising, doing a song by Austin's own Dicks. They're amazing people, and I love them to death. So.
If we can get that queued up, which I think we're good. Then we'll play that, and then we'll come back, say goodbye to folks. Maybe play one more song if we have time. But, yeah.
It's been an awesome time, Mark. I really appreciate you having me out to the Co-op Studios, my friend.
Gosh. I hate that the impetus to accelerate your coming down was that you're leaving, but I'm so happy for you that you're going off on a new adventure after 30 years contributing so much to Austin's music scene and documenting such an amazing creative period in Austin's music history. So
I sure don't want to leave anyone hanging. It's an extended break. It's never goodbye.
No. I was thinking about that, and I wanted to say on the air while we could, you could go to Virginia and like a week later turn around and come right back, and you'd be here with being welcomed with open arms. So,
family, man.
So yeah, straight up. So definitely know that. Okay, but Scorpio Rising. Let's if we got that cued, let's give it to the people.
Let's do her.
Okay.
I see your hand touching mine. I want you near me all the time. Love me all night, but baby, I love you. The seagulls fly up above. I want those stars of your love.
Hey everybody, this is DJ Marc, aka DJ Space Cadet. I feel like I'm getting a little punch drunk. And you're listening to Ear Candy 2.0. We are saying good night and goodbye, and thank you to Dave for stopping in, popping in, and being our special guest and telling a few stories and playing some great music, both local and beyond. And yeah, in this last minute we got here, let me just thank you from not only myself, but the rest of, on behalf of Austin music community, thank you for your contributions over the years.
Dude, it has been nothing but a pleasure to work with folks like yourself and anybody in this scene, to be welcomed at any club in town, to come into many radio stations, to be at any band, genre, whatever. This is a blessing, man. I'm a lucky, lucky cat.
Well, we have been lucky to have you and all of your contributions to the scene. And so...
that's an echo, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
Sorry,
a little echo. No, it's all good. Well, we love you. We appreciate you. And as you said, it's not goodbye. It's just we'll see you on the flip.
Extended vacation or something.
Extended vacation.
Yeah, I'll definitely be back in January for the thing that we do. And then, of course, if I can, do holidays, I've got family here. My lady has family here. This is not goodbye.
And so we will catch you on the flip side, and we will catch all of you people same bat time, same bat channel next week. I'll be filling in for DJ Dale on Roots Train as well.
Ear Candy and every show on Co-op, support all of them. Special shout out to Darkest Before Dawn.
Shout out to Sunil and Darkest Before Dawn. Yes, in fact, let me give Darkest Before Dawn some love. I do not want to go over into the extended time, so I will play the Darkest Before Dawn promo, and then I will see you next week. All right. Peace.
Love.
Take it easy.
Come celebrate the darker side of music every Saturday from 6 to 7 p.m. on Co-op with Darkest Before Dawn. Join me, DJ V.
And me, DJ Ashura Sunil, for goth, industrial, and other related genres.
Don't be afraid of the dark. Embrace it with Darkest Before Dawn.
Saturdays at 6, only on Co-op.